I feel like I thought for a second you were gonna say Mitch had a New York accent.
No,
Mitch has been he's been losing his Australian. Feels like every week he's becoming less and less.
I tell you, I got family staying over at the moment, so it came back in a snap. Thank you very much.
Dude, you have a hairdo right now that is like I have 2 kids and I do not sleep. Yeah.
Whoa!
All over the place.
Whoa!
Yeah, there you go.
Bro,
there you go.
let me tell
You back.
Let me tell you, bro, it's rough out there for dads. You know what I mean? We'd be juggling. You know what I mean? I'm going to come and look after another child straight after those two. It's kind of wild. I mean, who else is in this 2-box?
Oh,
My brother in Christ.
me. Oh, I was like, what? It was like, you have another child?
Can I say, you're looking great after the nose job, Matt. That's done one.
I mean, well, it was all inside of my nose, so my nose doesn't look any different. You would never know that my face was just in so much pain last week. I thought I was done. I was like, there's no coming back from this. And then I started listening to how sad you were last week, and it started to give me energy to heal. My body started to heal at a rapid rate. Now I'm back here.
Really encapsulates our relationship. I think, absolutely despondent I was, Matt. But, yeah. Back in the booth, mate. Let's hit this one running. The Outlaws versus New York. I think Dude sort of mentioned that maybe Houston were trying some different things, but to us it kind of looked like they were rolling out very much the same kind of style, the same kind of comps. Okay, maybe a bit more echo in the mix, but it looked like very much them. I've just got to say, though, coming into the second half of the season, the 2 teams you should be beating in the Defiant and in the Mayhem, of course, didn't go their way. So definitely some cause for concern.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Outlaws come off of an 0-2 week. You don't expect them to be, have weeks like that, right? Where they go 0-2. We knew how good this team is, right? Up there with the Atlanta Reign, now the Boston Uprising, right? Proving to be, a really strong team, right? Where, last week they end up losing to Boston in Florida, right? 3-0, 3-1. So didn't have a great week, but... New York, maybe this is a bounce back, but New York has also been playing a little bit better lately as well, Mitch.
Yeah, Kellen, I've been really impressed with, of course. They've been refreshed a little bit. Psycho and OG, having some pretty big impact over the last 2 games. Psycho especially has looked fantastic in the Tracer role. This is not out of the ordinary for Houston to bring Happy onto a map like Ruins on the Widowmaker. New York, the onus is going to be on them to answer this. They have a much more standard setup.
Yeah, but a lot that New York can do to really make this, Widowmaker's life difficult, as you see the Immortality field they're used to try and keep Happy alive. Now, you have that Winston dive composition with the Sombra Tracer in the mix. You can put a lot of pressure on Happy. It's actually the Outlaws who take the point first, because New York, they just keep diving in so deep after him, not actually able to come up with the kills, and then the Outlaws actually just stood on the point and took it.
So eventually New York get what they came for. They take Happy down, but in the meantime, like you mentioned, Houston had already sort of capped the point there, using Fearless as, I guess, someone that demands some attention in the front line here. And you notice that Kellen is trying to ignore him as much as humanly possible. Burn through his shield there, head back, grab the Mega. That's hacked, by the way, but no Sombra on the side of the Outlaws. And New York now are in the lead.
Yeah, and the Outlaws stay with this right now. I mean, you haven't really lost Fearless or really kind of had a whole team wipe, so not a real big opportunity to change. But they'll be happy actually going over to the Ash there, and if he gets taken out instantly, that's a hack that comes down on him, and Fitz finishes him off.
Now, interesting though, Shu and Violet forced the Primal Rage out of Kellen, but Happy is finding no success playing these mid to long range hit scan heroes. He's gonna have to switch.
You would also think that if the Outlaws knew New York was going to come out on something like this is a composition that the Outlaws should feel pretty good about, mirroring, right? Being able to put Fearless on the Winston, and maybe you do it with the Ana and the Brig, maybe you do it, having a Kariko in the mix, or a Lucio, but there's definitely options.
Pelicans left here, dangerous. Yep, no way he's getting out of that one alive. New York looking very good so far, and it's a little sloppy from Houston. Maybe some awkwardness when it comes to composition, but surely they're hoping to get some value out of this Annihilation. It's unclear how they're going to do that right now with Houston cut down to just the one player, and yet Fearless goes for the Annihilation regardless. Very ham-fisted approach from Houston here.
I mean, you imagine it's a switch, right? From Fearless here. You're probably just using the Annihilation because what? You wouldn't want to die, then have to use it again or just give it up, right? They could have switched way earlier if you were going to do that. So just pop that Annihilation, try and get it out. But CMP could be big, 90% already.
Oh, this old cycle has already been building up. the entire course of the round while Houston were frankly dithering on their way to the point. So even if they switch here, Matt, which they do, it's just too late in the day. 3 players down for Houston. Yes, they can use their flankers to contest, but New York have been very solid. Now it's just a matter of sticking the landing.
I mean, this has been a bit of a shock here for round number 1. That'll be New York taking it. Where, I mean, Houston just looked so all over the place. I mean, the composition obviously was not great, didn't do them any favors, but just really slow to switch. Even when they did it there at the end, they didn't have enough time, right? Ultimates galore there for, NYXL. We'll see how this goes into this next round, but I'm definitely a little bit more worried about Houston than I was maybe 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, there's maybe a case to be made for just sort of discarding what happened in that previous round. You can chalk it up to Houston being too reluctant to switch there. The whole idea that Fearless doesn't switch off Ramatra earlier because he wants the Annihilation and then uses it in a 1 versus 4, I think was a bit of a head scratcher for me. But now, hopefully, Houston looking to wipe the slate clean here. Pelican going to be on that Echo. So this is that point of difference that Houston often display sort of against their opponents here. Let's see if he can get that value, because as Jake was pointing out, and Johnny, wasn't always working.
Yeah, and Echo sometimes struggles against like Sombra Tracer, right? Where, the hack gets the Echo out of the sky, Tracer pretty good, and right there that is a hack, and then it's going to be Fitz taking Pelican out. So right away, already some struggles with that Echo.
Not a great opening for Houston on what we suspect is a more comfortable composition for them. And it could be an issue of, one of these players from Houston saying, I don't really feel comfortable on the Sombra. I don't really feel like we can match at the same level, which is pretty dire.
It's crazy, though. I mean, they definitely can. It's not like they can't, right? I mean, the thing that's interesting here, though, is typically when... Oh, that's a nice biotic grenade there from Creative. It hits actually Happy and Pelican. Not able to finish him off, but if you're the Outlaws, right, typically we see Pelican on the, whether it be he really plays the Tracer and Happy plays the Sombra. So you're kind of committed to this composition, because if you wanted to switch off of it, I mean, Pelican can play the Sombra, but it's not the ideal lineup or setup you would have in terms of who's playing what.
That's that curse that afflicts so many Ana players. It's so often. Shu is caught reloading when Fearless is down too low, and by the time he's able to start healing him back up again, the follow-up from New York came far too quick to contend with. This is looking very dodgy right now. EMP comes in from Fitz, and that's going to make it hard for Fearless to achieve his aims here. Psycho able to get the health pack, but not before he gets burnt down by Pelican. The sticky bombs had already sealed his fate long before he picked that top up. Nice pulse here from Happy now. Houston starting to put it together, but again, it comes a little late in the round.
Yeah, they'll flip. So, 65% there from New York right off the rip. That's pretty good. We'll see, though, if they're able to flip it back, because you're looking through, right? They have no nano, no EMP, no rally, right? So no big ultimates they could kind of throw in to win a fight right away. So the Outlaws could easily start to chain some of these fights together and get up in terms of percentage, probably even above New York.
Happy knows a big part of gaining this percentage is trying to keep this pressure on towards the back line. Maybe Kellen gets caught out, gets hit with a body grenade. There's a big opening and opportunity there, at least a primal rage to be forced, which we've seen none this round so far. Both teams have absolutely tracked those. And a duplicate on the horizon, but this is what Happy was trying to do when we saw him on camera earlier. Find a way to eliminate one of these backliners, one of these flankers, put a player advantage on the board.
Yeah, in New York now, they're just kind of stuck in limbo, right? They have to wait to get everybody together, go back in, try and make another push. You don't even really have a great use case of Primal here. It's really just kind of used to stall things out. So I think they're going to try and actually maybe make a play for Pelican, right? That's a hack there on the Fearless, gets them back on Houston's side of the point. Maybe now you can actually make a play for Pelican. Pelican actually uses the duplicate there.
Yeah, there it is. So Fearless makes a very awkward jump as he's whip shot and almost falls down the well, and that's the opening there New York looked to go for. Happy to another pulse bomb connection on Creative and a dupe of Ana for Pelican here. Nicely done for Houston. Get themselves out of what would have been a sticky situation after losing Violence so early. But Matt, they carry both of these support ultimates in what may be one of the last fights.
Yeah, I mean, this obviously looks way better now for the Outlaws. Once they were able to get control of the point, they seem to really given New York no options to get in and make a play. But Fitz does have EMP. You just go for an EMP here on a Fearless, maybe? Oh no, he has the benefits of that. Look at how far he's pushed out these supports.
There's no good EMP at all here. Primal used by Kellen, presumably to try and intervene with what Fearless was trying to do. He got the nano, which didn't end up being all that impactful, but he keeps OG and Creator back in spawn until now. Whip shot connects with Kellen in midair as he tries to get to a target, but is sent back to his own side of the field. 99 plays 64 here. Overtime is in play. And Happy really, again, trying to work his way through Fitz. Probably has some idea of where he's gone to, but another pulse bomb is on the horizon. His last two have been picture perfect. And adding a third to that tally would surely seal the round here. Psycho lingering on the open and Happy to send. What a pick-off, and there's no way OG was getting out of that. Overkill perhaps, but Happy got a freebie on Creative as he was back-to-back with the Brig.
Yes, I mean, nothing they could really do there. Once you lost the supports for New York, it was all over. First map, pretty close. Gonna go down to the wire here as we'll move to Lighthouse for the final stage. I think we'll have to see how New York maybe adjusts. So it looks like, yeah, they're gonna make a little bit of a change. So Psycho will actually play the Echo, and I imagine Fitz will end up just playing the Tracer. So it looks like potentially we're gonna get a mirror matchup.
I mean, probably the best map of this set for Echo. There's less of that expanse that you need to cross. You have to play pretty close to that sort of left side or sort of the side room, you know, on well. But here, obviously, you can play between the platforms pretty comfortably. So Psycho feeling like it's time to try and match this. So we've seen this happen on occasion. Matt, the Echo versus Echo head-to-head is quite volatile. Yeah, the pickups happen in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, so looks like both teams trying to maintain some semblance of high ground control here for their supports. Is you want to keep the Ana up on the high ground, give the best vantage point to kind of, you know, heal that Echo, and then also the best protection in terms of getting dove.
You really have to have eyes in the back of your head, though, if you're one of these Echoes. The moment you commit on like a tank, for example, try and get a big focusing beam, that can be when the enemy Echo tries to sort of third party you in a way and find an instant kill. Point not capped quite yet here. Houston obviously have some players in position, but it's going to be Pelican going down to Fitz. He gets a little bit too close to the ground. This now means that Psycho can play with a little bit more abandon. Doesn't have to worry about sticky bomb focusing beam combo as he tries to pick a target of his own. Great start from New York.
Yeah, so they get control of the point. Now they get control of the Outlaws high ground, and this is where Kellen can really start to make an impact, right? Holding this high ground, they're dropping down, being able to put down some damage, you know, get them pretty weak before they start to make it even a case to take the point back. And then he provides a great sightline. Look at this. I mean, for where, you know, Creative can be able to heal.
Fearless can't dance that shield very effectively, but it is going to be the 1-versus-1. Pelican wins out against Psycho. Focusing beam finds its mark, and this is scary for Kelvin. He doesn't get the primal in time, so no chance to stall this point out any further. Houston beeline for that point and flip now at 31% for New York.
Yeah, they end up giving the nano over to Pelican. Makes that focusing beam even more impactful, as that is Happy with a double kill with the pulse bomb, and then also takes himself out with that. He was quite deep. You can see where he was on the map, but you know, the Echo with obviously the focusing beam with how much damage it does, like ramps, right, as players get weak with that nano boost becomes extremely deadly.
Well, it just becomes impossible to play your health pool, because it's, you know, almost exponential, I guess, the rate at which it disappears once an Echo has that beam on you. So hard to predict. A lot of the times tanks like to, you know, really gain the numbers and know how long they can stay around, and Echo complicates the map a lot. Happy, great pick though, finding, I'm sorry, okay, was waiting on the point there for Psycho, who was engaged in that Echo duel once more.
Oh, that is not a great fight for New York, man. They end up having to use the primal there from Kellen, and then Creative actually ends up using the nano there on the OG just to probably keep the Brig alive. But obviously doesn't really benefit anybody. I mean, you were never close to kind of taking the point back. So pretty rough fight there for New York.
And there's no EMP power play for New York to play around at this time. Almost like a, you know, quasi-guaranteed fight if they can catch the Outlaws together. They've got to get it done the same way Houston have been doing so in the last couple of maps. Look at the damage from one clip from Happy. That's putting so much pressure on your healing resources that a stuck pulse bomb means it's a foregone conclusion. Creative is now down. Fitz doesn't last much longer either without that extra healing. It's going to be a duped Brig here for Psycho, and not even a chance to make that rally happen. He drops like a pin.
even before the pulse bomb comes out, right? Just the amount of damage that Happy put down, right? Basically almost kills OG, forces OG to pop rally, and then basically does enough damage to kill Creative. Nobody's going to be able to make it to the point, so they're a rough route in one. The Outlaws end up bouncing back.
I think we're starting to see why Trace's spread at mid-range was looked at pretty closely by the balancing team, because her ability to play from what is relatively a safe distance, like we saw from Happy, and do so much damage is pretty fearsome indeed. So I guess, Matt, we can disregard what we saw in that first, even though we're going to see replays of it because we're going to run it back a little bit. But coming out of the Ramatra Rush comp, maybe a misread of New York. It's a blooper though that Houston are able to smooth over.
Yeah, as we'll take a look at some of the round one highlights. This is, I know if you just don't watch the highlights after this, you would think New York won and everything is great, but no, not the case. Is after round one, really it was all Outlaws, and I think that the Outlaws, you probably have to go back and look at some of these comps, right, where you come out and play that Ramatra with the Widowmaker here at the start on Ruins. I imagine a lot of other teams are going to start, playing that Winston-based composition if they don't already, but specifically for the Outlaws, if they continue to come out on that, where just did not look good against that. But once they were able to get on the Echo, things started to look pretty good.
Yeah, I do wonder if New York are having a discussion of, hey, maybe Fitz on Sombra in that third round might have been the ticket. He was doing a pretty good job, at least early in the round, on like shutting down Pelican, hacking him, forcing him to the ground. This was obviously the sleep dart. Nicely done. Normally you expect that from sticking a Brig and she shield bashes in. Not the case that time around. Iconvola coming up in our second map of the series of the Outlaws. Stumble through the first map and get it on the board. Stick around for more of our last match of the day coming up. If anything, the competitiveness of this first map should be a credit to your New York Excelsior, who at 5-5 have definitely shown themselves to be stalwarts in this league. But the Houston Outlaws, a little bit of flair, a little bit of pizzazz, get over the line on Ilios after a brutal start.
Just a little bit of everything there, you know, a little bit of Houstonable action there around number 1, and the Outlaws start to bounce back. Look, we expect great things from this team, right? I know not to obviously, have 0-2 weeks like last week, obviously kind of, live up to the hype, really be the team that challenges the Atlanta Reign in the entire league, right? You kind of look like east to west. It really seems like the Outlaws have the best roster and the best, crop of talent to be able to do so. Just got to live up to the hype. And then for New York, I've honestly been pleasantly surprised with like how they've played recently. I know 5-5, really nice play out of like Kellen, and nice things out of Psycho in the support line. So obviously since adding OG, I think if you're New York, right, keeping this series close, keeping it competitive, maybe going 4 or 5 maps, like I think that is may not result in a win in terms of your standings and whatnot, but it would be a little bit of a moral dub.
Oh, absolutely. And also in terms of New York setting their sights towards the postseason potentially, and what is really going to be a titanic battle to get into those playoffs. They really want to take as much away from this game as humanly possible. And if that's going to be really nailing down the fundamentals of the Sombra Tracer setup, then so be it. If that's the way to go, then it makes perfect sense. Houston, unsurprisingly, a few teams are picking this up. Matt, this Echo on defense, usually just for point A, can be extremely impactful with the amount of cover that sort of clock tower provides. Yeah,
I was going to say, it's really good here on point A because of the clock tower, but as you move towards the later stages of the map, right, stage 3, just think of the inside, there's not really, a great opportunity for Echo. And then, in the second stage, the castle, right, you can just access that high ground so easy, but here, there's no real access to the skybox that Echo can control, and being able to play around some of this cover is awesome.
All right, Pelican here on the spy check plan. Fitz will be afoot. I believe that. Slow going here for New York, but really just trying to get through the choke to set up here. Not taking too much poke in doing so, which is a good sign. Finding grenade on Kellen, though, probably constitutes as the aforementioned, so this will slow things up just a little bit as Creative looks to get him back into the fray.
So you're doing a nice job here building up towards Nano, right? Potentially, but you have to figure out a way to kind of get through this choke, right? Looks like Fearless just controlling it at the moment. Nice bubble there, actually kind of puts Creative in a really tough spot.
Yeah, he had to push up and push into it there.
Yeah.
He's able to do so just in time, though, because once again, the classic Sombra and Echo interaction occurs. Fitz on the right end of it here. And with Fearless as low as he is playing from inside the hunting lodge, New York have a lot of space to work with. It's a matter of just closing the door.
Oh, and they decide to go for it, right? An EMP there as soon as they see Fearless gets low, but he actually gets hit with a nano boost.
Fearless does well, able to emerge, burst forth, in fact, with that nano. Take down Creative first and foremost, Psycho falls soon after. New York really feeling like they had it there, 2 ticks to work with. Houston bounced back after losing Pelican in the best way possible.
Oh, I mean, an awesome nano there from Shu right onto Fearless. As Fearless, he got hit with the biotic grenade, the bubble is there, trying to protect him for a little bit. Fitz kind of all in, sends it, goes with the EMP, trying to finish him off. But the nano just keeps him alive, and then he's able to do big damage after that.
Pelican trying to intercept Kellen, but the bubble is up, and it's a big problem for Echo to get through that. Nano here, onto OG. Ray Boss is in the vicinity, and going to pop the rally from us straight away, so able to play aggressively, build that one up here. Pelican, though, if he gets a moment with Kellen, it could be all over. It's going to have to be a primal rage for both Winstons here. Fearless boxed in somewhat, but eventually Kellen's going to be able to be brought down in a trade for Violet, which I think you take every day of the week. Over the top here, very hard for Creative to track Fearless right now, and he is going to fall as a result. Pelican with the dupe here. This is a 9-second rally? That is brutal.
I mean, he barely gets the rally, right? He was pretty low there and then ends up getting it. Pops it, gives himself the extra health. But another hold there for the Houston Outlaws as Fearless has been doing such a great job of separating the support line from the rest of the team, right? Kellen was in there in the back lane. It felt like for ages trying to make something happen, but nobody else able to get near him there with how good Fearless has been, and he just got deleted by that EMP.
They had to go for him, no doubt about it. Get him out of the picture quick, smart. Pelican here. Not quite hacked. Fitz not able to sort of connect here, and he's able to bring Kellen down. The trade is good. Nano on the Echo serves up what the Outlaws were looking for, but losing Violet early in this fight once more. This time to a pulse bomb from Psycho, but it's enough time for Fearless to get back into the fight. It's a 4 versus 4 for the next couple of moments here. Briggleby slow returning, but it's a huge opening. What a sleep! The connection though, not quite there. Fitz is able to translocate out after Shu thought he had him dead to rights. Now Kellen looked to put pressure on, but I think he realized the fight was over once more.
Yeah, I mean, Shu just does a tremendous job there, right? You know, the Nano that time on the Pelican as he's up in the sky, right? You had lost Fearless basically instantly. You know, you get rid of the other team's tank, the focusing beam with that Nano boost, just does so much damage, and then able to keep himself alive. Just does an excellent job just rotating out towards help.
Violet here, still working towards that rally, then out of the fight in both occasions, these last 2 engagements. A pulse though could be a round ender. Creative able to deftly sidestep that one, but Fitz stunning falls him in the backline. Perhaps a sleep dart there, involvement on the kill feed from Shu. And there's a duplicate now available for Pelican. He's looking for a backline. Okay, takes the Ana at relatively long range here. Adding extra healing to the mix could be huge. Bite a grenade, a little bit maladroit on the landing, no connection there. But again, more resources for Fearless, can't be wrong.
I think he's just trying to figure out how to build the Nano the fastest as he's putting down a little bit of damage. And does he get it? Oh no, it does not get the Nano off there as looks like he falls. It'll be Violet end up using a rally here as Primal Rage from Fearless knocks Creative off, gets OG out of the mix as well. Now doubles back towards the point.
Yeah, this may well be it. Kellen able to find Violet with that Primal, but has no teammates remaining. The environmental kill from Fearless, the importance of that can't be overstated. The fight was a deadlock at that point, and he breaks it right on open with the Primal. Extra value for Fearless and the Outlaws as they hold off the Excelsior on point A.
Well, look, I mean, they got 96%, pretty close, right? Just, you know, not able to actually take the point. I mean, yeah, there's just some brutal... It really started off well for New York, right? I feel like they made all their progress like really early on, and then after that, every fight was just played perfectly by the Outlaws. Didn't let them get anything else.
Yeah, even a couple of those fights where like Violet dies to like a pulse bomb, they lose a player early. Fearless like got nuked at the start of that previous fight with the EMP. But New York's inability to transition those first picks into fight wins is really glaring on that attack there. Because if Fearless is down, then Shu gives Pelican a nano boost. He gets to play ultra aggressive and at least secure a kill that basically can't be traded because he's got that dupe available too.
Well, I mean, that's what I was going to say. It felt like every time that New York got the first kill after that, like, an EMP and just a really fast kill onto like Fearless, for instance, right? It was traded pretty much instantly. Like, the kill was just swapped right out, right? Pelican's able to get a kill really easily. Somebody else comes up with a pick, right? Maybe it's Happy, but that's kind of what it felt like, is that even where the Outlaws, you lose a player first, it was answered so fast.
I think there's something to be said about the virtual player advantage that Duplicate gives you, right? Having basically a 6th player in situations where you start a fight short-handed, huge in terms of evening things up, making it very, very hard. Okay, Happy? Back to spawn with you. None of this shenanigans.
Everybody loves the opportunity to play Life Weaver like in the spawn, but nobody wants to make him further than the just spawn room.
Yeah, feeling like much horticulturists today. Clearly, the Outlaws. Kellen hacked here, playing from within his own bubble, so able to back away, get topped up. But the Outlaws they are very far advanced already. Happy preempts that shield bash instantly, just blinks on back. He's OG out in the open, but eventually Psycho is able to generate that kill here. The Outlaws aren't playing the Echo, so they don't have that upfront burst potential. They're banking on an EMP to end the map.
It's like, it's a really nice first fight win there for New York, because it didn't really look good at the beginning, right? A few players got low. They were kind of getting attacked from both sides of that central pillar, but they're able to kind of like withstand it, get everybody healed back up, right? You see Creative almost at a nano already, and then able to take it.
Yeah, they want to start to get this old cycle happening. Nano Winston's and Primal fight. This is where they want to be starting. Again, that EMP, we are encroaching rapidly upon that. And the question is, do we just catch Kellen inside this and secure that insta-kill the enemy Winston? How much of a concern is the Echo here? Yeah, okay, so Pelican knows he can get everything. Psycho caught by the hack, Kellen too, but it's going to be a nano boost. They forgot to catch the backline inside that EMP clearly. and it's not going to give anything up to the Outlaws. A late nano for Fearless, though, is pretty big. He can charge forward now. Look at the space he's created, forcing OG and Creative inside the hunting lodge again, and P is there with the follow-up. He finds both backliners just as the Outlaws lost theirs, but Psycho is de facto healing right now with this duplicate of Ana.
Yeah, and he actually gets the nano pretty fast and gives it over to Kellen. His biotic grenade there on the Fearless as Fearless gets really low as right away it was both supports traded out for both teams, right? Those players just died pretty much instantly. It's going to be a second tick there as it's going to be a rally here from OG as he's trying to get back on the point.
Houston trying to exacerbate the spawn advantage here as quickly as they can, but I think that window is closed. They're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way now. Digging their heels in. Fearless looks to disrupt. Kellen's very low elsewhere. Was hacked after the primal rage, but is able to stay alive. The pressure on the healing resources for New York, though, is really starting to cause them to buckle. Creative, though, finds a nice little burst there. Biotic grenade connects, but Psycho is down now. And look at the pressure on the point. The EMP connects. It's on 4 players. Every standing member of New York affected by that, and yet the follow-up isn't there. Happy though, belated as he is able to find his way forward, and Kellen has gone down to Pelican. This should be the clean-up here. OG steps up, but no rally available. It's an EMP for Fitz coming very late. Fearless needs to stay alive here. Shu working hard to keep him up.
Oh, and OG was so close to getting rally there. He dies at like 99%, as maybe if he would have been able to get that off. It's a little bit more to that fight, but he ends up falling, and that'll be the Outlaws taking map number 2.
Again, never a sure thing there for Houston. They knew they'd be working towards an EMP win condition, and it looked like it was kind of perfect. Kellen got slept, so Pelican steps up and says, well, I can catch Kellen and the Echo of Psycho inside this same ability. But then Nano came out, and all of a sudden there's no kills as a result of that. You have to start digging further into the ult bank. Fearless is a menace on this map. Oh my goodness. On defense as well. Really reminding me of a lot of the performances we've seen from Smurf playing Winston defensively. Very proactive and really aware, just on the periphery of the team fight.
And the one thing you actually ended up pointing out was, like, once they kind of got a little bit of progress there on the first point, the Outlaws on offense, like, they just used that spawn advantage to perfection, right? Like, they were so aggressive, just jumping back in, like making New York not have an opportunity to kind of like everybody get together and like let's kind of set up for one final stand, right? Just forcing them to just kind of flood onto the point.
New York opting for the Echo. We see Houston sort of realize just how important Sombra can be when all you've got to do is capture that first point. So it's a switch there. We get to see the Sombra Tracer comp from the Outlaws, and it still looks pretty darn polished. So all things being equal, this third map is a scary one for New York if Houston can continue to leverage their strengths in the dive. Stick around to see how it all pans out right after this.
huh? Let me see you drop. Get down in the car. One time, give it up. Bust it open, huh? Let me see you drop. Hustle, baby, we hustle, but the
Oh my.
The New York Excelsior have their backs to the wall. Probably a situation they're somewhat familiar with so far this season. It is just that the dive comp from Houston is a little too hard for them to contend with, just perhaps on a level of fundamentals here.
They're close.
Houston are already, I mean, the Houston flow. They're a really natural team. They've got someone like Fearless who could just decide to find 2 kills on backliners with a primal rage, and all of a sudden, all of your expectations for how these fights should play out go straight out the window.
Yeah, I mean, look,
New York have these tools too, Matt, but
yeah,
we're not seeing it.
No, I would say New York's they've been close, you know, in these maps, right? Obviously, you see the 2-1 there on Ilios. In that previous map, they have like the capabilities to, you know, get that first pick, right? Typically, teams start to really build off of that to get consistent fight wins. It's just the Outlaws just a next step above, I think, in terms of team. As we go into Gibraltar, I expect more dive, right? That's kind of what we're going to see here.
Definitely should form part of your expectations for how the game will play out on Watchpoint Gibraltar. On occasion, teams have dabbled in the Widow, but far more robust. I think it's agreed to go with the Sombra Tracer setup. Echo not an option here. The expanses are simply too long, too wide. And even against Arnie, you're very vulnerable out there, so Houston won't be making that little tweak here. For New York, maybe some TP play here just to get that bridge control, maybe contest that a little bit with Kellen, but we're going to see these fundamentals of this dive comps played out for you once more.
Yeah, if you're the Outlaws, right, you're starting to hit a little bit of a stride here, getting a little bit of a groove, no reason to kind of move off of this, right? So we know Fearless, one of the best Winstons in the world, is New York. We'll see what they decide to do. Looks like just the TP, maybe trying to get the high ground, maybe trying to get directly across. Actually, it looks like they see Fearless and some of the others on the high ground directly across. They don't want to go directly into it. Yeah, so they actually end up just ditching the sim right away.
This means that Kellen has to, you know, go towards this side building before he can start to contest the bridge. Some of the Outlaws are confident enough to leave mostly Violet in there, just holding that room down. Fitz really got quite a tickling there on the low ground from Fearless. Maybe caught him trying to sneak through the web. A decent start here. You see Kellen really just trying to put himself, you know, where he thinks the action's going to be, but it's a little bit hard to predict here. I wouldn't say that Fearless is exactly a flowchart Winston.
Well, you know, what they do here, the Outlaws, right, is they had actually Pelican on one side of the cart, right, contesting it. Kellen's putting pressure on him. They get him off of the payload so they can keep it moving. And then Fearless just drops down once Pelican's gone and keeps it contested. So just a nice job just swapping players in and out there for the Outlaws to just make this, you know, push just a painful process for New York.
Keeping the cart basically right where it needs to be, in that underpass where New York are least favored to win these fights and have to kind of fire on 2 fronts here. Happy, yeah, no incentive to let this cart come up the ramp at all. Shu helping keep him topped up quite comfortably. Happy hacked there briefly, but Fitz is going to have to get out once more. This does allow Kellen to start to tickle up there on that high ground. Fearless trying to keep him away. There's a nano already built here for almost both Arna's. Shu first, though.
Yes, it's going to be a nano boost there coming in on the Fearless. Is a nice job by OG to get out. For a second there, I thought he was actually going to get caught, like where Fearless would have body blocked him, right? Get stuck in that staircase, especially, you know, blocking the line of sight from Creative. But OG kind of gets out of the way. So nano boost doesn't really get anything. This is going to be an EMP though. As oh man, I mean, Creative just nothing he can really do about that, right?
It's an instant kill for Pelican. The damage amp afforded by the hack is more than enough for him to find that kill. Happy finding OG with the pulse bomb really is the cherry on top there. Fearless, gotta give him credit, right? We saw him get nanoed, but he sort of sees New York sort of folding back and realizes that was kind of the plan all along. So he doesn't commit with that extra jump and actually, you know, just really plays around his high ground. Houston's so positional here and how they value this spot that Fitz is in.
Yeah, if he would have boxed in OG, I think probably would have went for that kill, but then once started to move back with the rest of his team, he decided to just leave it as, oh, actually, that's it looks like Kellen was actually slept, and it's going to be Fitz from the opposite side with that EMP, maybe using trying to kill it as like bait. to be able to pick up some kills off of that.
Yeah, both teams lose their backlines ultimately. I don't know what happened with Happy. He must have broke some serious ankles on the New York side of things because he finds both kills there.
But the payload's not moving. I mean, you're barely getting the cart through the tunnel here, as you know, you're going to be down to under a minute. You know, you've used some of your big ultimates, like with you know, your Nano and your EMP here for New York. It's a rough spot to be in.
Ju in trouble here. Mini should be comfortably scooped up though, and Violet's rally will be instrumental in keeping the Ana in the fight. Awkward position for OG here. Able to eventually find his way back to his team, albeit airmail. Fearless looks to keep New York inside that server room. This card, like you said, has just ground slowly up the slope, but we don't see New York in a strong position yet. They have no natural high ground. They have to emerge here from this small choke in order to contest the card. Kellen, yeah, knows he needs to re-establish some sort of high ground. And
you have a few players here, as that actually is going to be a big pulse bomb, but that's going to be a nice EMP on the other side of things, where Pelican connects with 3. And that's going to be the nano boost here on the Fearless, as he could probably go deep into the server room if he wants, but you just don't have a lot to work with here for New York, and you're down below 10 seconds.
Fearless hacked. Yeah, he's done. Look, Ju had to nano there. He actually couldn't heal Fearless or anybody inside the server room because Kellen just threw a dome down right in front of him. That's a big pick off for Pelican though.
Oh no! Dude, Creative dies with the nano right there too, and then I'm like, oh man, that's so unfortunate. They're not gonna be able to use nano. Little did they think they would just not run to the car.
I need an adult presently.
I'm not an adult, so I can't help you.
That is...
It's no bueno. Not good.
That is heart-rending, folks. New York... Look, it's a scrappy fight, but they're able to invest enough...
Did he just not come out of stealth in time?
Yes. He did... I mean, Fitz did not reveal himself, because he was on the card in stealth there, but perhaps just a split second earlier, if he just shoots some air, anything, he's able to avert the round, ending prematurely. New York, I mean, again, you're pretty frazzled by that point. Things get frayed after you spend all round throwing yourself at what feels like a brick wall. Reality is just using rippling biceps as they shut the door in their face. Look, I've got to say, they had Fearless, right? They sleep him, they hack him, they hit him with the Pionade. They show the adequate amount of respect to your anime protagonist. And it looked like it'd be a decent fight there, but I think Pelican just blows Psycho to smithereens there. And all of a sudden, they don't have anyone to contest, so Fitz has to drag himself out of the server room and try and contest, and might have been there on time. It's who can say, really, Matthew?
He's close. It's pretty close.
So, oh dear. Right, so virtually a full hold here on Gibraltar. No checkpoint gained by New York whatsoever. TP's thrown out here at the start by Houston. They're going to opt to play from this low ground, as they must. Violet already plucked out of formation.
Yes, you know, Psycho's had a pretty good series, right? Being able to pick up some, you know, kills. He had a good round, I believe, when he was playing the Echo for a period of time. Now on the Tracer, but be just a trade here at the start. But just look at how much faster this payload's already moving, right? The Outlaws were just so annoying in being able to kind of contest it and just juggle players onto it at the start, where New York not able to do that.
And notice Kellen's being very reactive, trying to shadow Fearless across the map as he goes up to Kellen, leave the cart, and that's why the cart is moving right now, because New York don't have a protocol to keep this cart stalled in moments like this. Now, Fearless may go down here, which it could hurt them, but you used to get a decent amount of... Look where the cart is, Matt.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have a Sombra or Tracer contesting that from New York, like they're not really approaching it in that way.
And this just allows the Outlaws to have so much more space, right, to kind of get up, you know, towards that high ground and get to this point. In New York, you're in a position where you have to contest high ground. You lose high ground, you know, you don't have an opportunity to get up like a full regroup here where the payload is.
Pelican's going to nudge this forward as well. Ju dropping down here, Nano giving to Fearless once more. If he can just attract some attention, then he's done his job. Hack doesn't really affect him too adversely there, but Psycho has the unenviable job of trying to 1v2 to contest. Thankfully, Kellen comes back in the nick of time, but he's not doing anything to help with the issue of Fearless, who takes OG down, and there'll be a pulse bomb here if required, but the EMP should do the job. Also, Fitz has to amble over to the server room to help now with that translocator getting picked off midway through the fight. And it's incremental advantages from Houston that culminate in a series win here, and a very convincing showing on Watch Point Gibraltar. We talked about the fundamentals. That was what New York wanted to come out of this game, having honed some more. But the Outlaws showed them once more who's boss.
Yeah, pretty, look, New York had some moments, but pretty brutal overall in terms of the outcome of this series. A 3-0 sweep in favor of the Houston Outlaws. And look, you can get fearless on that Winston. We know how good that back line is. Pelican and Happy, at a moment's notice, feel like they could just start to pop off, go to another level, and they can dominate series like this.
I mean, it definitely feels like New York's game plan on that last map especially was heavily dictated by Houston, by their movements. Very reactive, right? Callan constantly saying, trying to split his time between, can I follow Fearless around the map, or can I die for myself here? The fact that there's not sort of like a solo flanker contesting the cart in some of those situations, I know it's scary to 1v1 Happy. I know one wants to do that, but you have to. That's kind of the game plan here. And if you're in any situation where you require two players to answer the one Tracer or Sombra pushing the cart, you're going to get smashed on the higher ground here. So tough to win out. And I think it's the kind of map that really exposes teams that maybe pound for pound a little bit weaker in the mechanical or in the coordination sense.
Yeah, really just a rough time on Gibraltar, I would say, and then pretty rough, I think, on Eichenwald as well. Although I think definitely closer than Gibraltar. But look, I mean, New York sits at 5-6, not a terrible record to look at, as the Outlaws get a bounce back win today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's look about player of the match here, Matthew. Quite a few candidates as always on the side of the Outlaws, but it's going to go to Happy this time around, holding it down on the Tracer in a big way. This map was exemplary from Happy. Multiple pulse bomb sticks here. That just put them in such a huge position. I mean, this is the overkill pulse bomb, but he got the freebie here. So many plays like this.
Yeah, I mean, being able to come up with pulse bomb kills time and time again on the back line, and it just seems like always in position, whether it's the kind of combo with Pelican or Fearless, being able to pick off some of these players. Just great pulse bomb use throughout the entire day. The 50% attach rate there, very strong. And I mean, you see, in 21 minutes, below one death, pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, this Tracer stat card it really stands out to me. I think is something that we've seen over the last few weeks. And I think it's a big part of where so much of the success for this team comes on a map like Eichenwald, right? Maybe it wasn't even the Tracer, it was the Sombra at times for Happy. But we saw Pelican get picked off early in a couple of those fights. There was one fight where Fearless just gets nuked by a large amount of ultimates, including the EMP thrown his way. Yep. So many short-handed fights that Houston still end up winning. Some of it could be attributed to being able to use Duplicate effectively, but some of it is just Houston in short-handed scenarios being just a little bit better. Happy's a huge part of that. We saw every player on this team really stand up with a counter today.
Yeah, and you think it's a little bit of a bounce back week here for the Outlaws, right? You get this win in commanding fashion after a pretty rough start here to the summer stage. I think just reminds everybody, how good this team can be, the heights that we believe they can reach.
Yeah, now we see our sides forward for this Houston Outlaws team, see if they can get into that playoff shape they're going to look to find. Let's take a break. Let's head over to our desk and talk about the game, the day that was, rather. Some great matches, especially those first couple. So stick around for our experts' take on how it went down today.
Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade out. Damage, then you gon' pay up. Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade out. Damage, then you gon' pay up.
Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade out. Damage, then you gon' pay up. Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Turn it way up. Turn it way up.
Crank that volume, turn it way up. Way up.
Welcome back, guys. The Houston Outlaws are back. Getting a clean 3-0 victory against the New York Excelsior. They're back.
I'm feeling good about this one. We'll take those. We'll take those. Absolutely.
You feeling good?
Yeah.
How come?
As a Houston fan. What do you mean?
That's what I wanted to hear.
Nice.
I just wanted it to be said.
Oh, like it was
Out
such
in
a
the open.
surprise. You're so shocked.
But I mean, they did look a lot better. Because going in, we were all worried. Hey, like they lost 2 matches last week. Is it going to continue? But apparently they woke up. They were like, hey, never mind. We're back. Sorry, guys.
I mean, New York's a team you'd feel pretty bad losing to as Houston. I think, you know, Florida and Boston are teams that have been nipping at Houston's heels all season long. It is, I think, a nice little vote of confidence here for Houston. Come back to their basics, the essentials, mostly this Winston comp, a little bit of Sombra on Gibraltar as well. I think that is going to be an important look for them. As great as Pelican is on the Echo, I think there's still going to be maps where you just want to bring that Tracer Sombra to bear.
It was a little bit close, though.
Yeah.
New York
Yeah.
took the first round. This hold by Excelsior, obviously, you know, they got held themselves on their attack, but then on their own defense, I mean, it took every little bit from the Houston Outlaws to finally cap it out because the backline kept staying aligned between OG and Creative. OG, you know, he got racked up a few nice kills on the point, actually. And the Outlaws, yes, they got the cap in the end. But it did feel like the York Excelsior at least put up a fight, but then Gibraltar was like...
Lights out.
No, Gibraltar was a shutdown.
Yeah, Gibraltar was a shutdown. But I don't know. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that, like, yes, it was a 3-0, but the Excelsior still show that they can somewhat put up a fight.
Right.
And so, you know, they're not like a bottom team. Like, they're still very much in the mix, I feel like.
I agree. I don't think this is like the death knell for New York. I do think they, in my opinion, they kind of were always a little bit one of the weaker teams in that 5-5 bubble. So I'm not super surprised to see them go down. However, I don't think anybody can write them off as an opponent. You know, different map pool, different day, different team. Maybe they can come out on top here. So I think New York's team, I want to keep watching. It's those other teams in the mid-table that are really going to contest them, try to take their better or worse seeds in that playoff bracket.
Right, I mean, yeah, I also definitely agree. I think the York Excelsior, of course, like they did get the loss today against Houston Outlaws, but you know, it's not all doom and gloom for them, right? They had some signs of life, and now they just need to do a better job and then get more wins.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the standings as well, there are so many teams like kind of in that mix. I mean, you got the Toronto Defiant, the Vancouver Titans, San Francisco Shock. Like, there are quite a few teams that are kind of similarly placed to the New York Excelsior. And those are the teams, if New York makes it to the play-in, the knockout bracket, those are the teams you'll be facing, right? So if they can just like step up their game a little bit, they are definitely like capable of taking wins from those teams and advancing far in the knockout bracket. And suddenly, you're like 2-3 matches away from the playoffs, right? So quickly, things...
It's a lot of hopium.
Well,
a lot of hopium.
Yes, Jake, it is. But it is a lot of hopium. But yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance, New York fans.
There's a chance.
They've been so miserable for so long.
True.
New York fans, they've been through the gauntlets the last couple of years, okay?
It's been
we
a
always
long
talk
time
about
since
New York
Jonak.
as this big franchise, like 2018, Jonak, whoa, amazing reputation. But like, they've been struggling for the past 2-3 years. And so
Now
I'm giving them a little bit of hopium.
If the hopium's
because the
there,
Excelsior
you might as
fans
well
deserve it. They deserve it. They're a good group of fans,
I'm sure
but
New York
they
fans
deserve the hopium.
appreciate it. Thank you, Johnny. But I mean, hey, it was the Houston Outlaws getting the win, so we gotta talk to the players. Post-match interview. We got the best Winston, Fearless, on the line. Hi, Fearless. 안녕.
Hi.
Hi. All right. I gotta start this off by saying, last week, things were a little bit tough, to be honest, for Houston Outlaws, but you guys came back strong. So, what changes did you guys make coming into week 2? 자, 오늘 승리 축하드리면서, 솔직히 말해서 저번 주는 솔직히 좀 힘든 한 주였잖아요. 휴스턴 팬이나 휴스턴 선수들에게. 하지만 오늘 또 굉장히 좋은 모습을 보여주셨기 때문에 이번 주에 좀 들어오면서 좀 어떤 변화가 좀 있었나요?
저희가 일단 좀 오래 쉬기도 했고 그래서 좀 많이 다들 손도 안 풀리고 막 그랬었던 것 같은데 다시 다들 열심히 집중하고 연습도 더 많이 하면서 그래가지고 더 잘해져서 오늘 이겼던 것 같습니다.
I think we just got the win because we were, just a lot more warmed up. Compared to last week, we came off and we had to play a game straight from a very long break, so not everyone was sort of warmed up enough. I think that was a huge factor. So coming into this week, we just focused more on our game. We got more practice. We got a lot more warmed up, and I think that it really showed in our match day against New York Excelsior. And also another question for you is, now that you are the soul tank of the Houston Outlaws, how are you feeling? Is there more pressure on you because you have to sort of play other heroes as well? 자, 두 번째 질문은 이제 그 가고이 선수 나간 후에 이제 은퇴를 한 다음에 이제 피어레스 선수가 이제 유일한 탱커인데 팀에서 좀 이런 거에 대해서 좀 어떠신가요? 좀 더 부담감을 느끼시나요? 아니면 좀 괜찮으신가요?
생각보다 좀 부담감을 느끼는 편이에요. 왜냐하면 제가 서브 탱커 영웅들을 많이 해보지를 않았기 때문에 특히 또 서킷로야 시그마 같은 경우는 되게 부담되더라고요. 그런 거 안 해봐가지고. 네, 그렇습니다.
Okay, 알겠습니다. I'm gonna be honest. There is some burden that I do feel because I haven't spent a lot of time on flex tank heroes, especially nowadays because we're seeing Circuit Royale and there is a need for Sigma. To be honest, I do sort of feel the burden right now for the team. But hey, you're a great tank player. You don't have to feel burdened because I believe in you, Fearless. 자, 뭐 부담감 별로 가지실 필요 없다 저는 생각합니다. 개인적으로 워낙 잘하시는 선수이기 때문에. Fearless fighting.
파이팅!
Fighting. All right, thank you. Bye.
바이.
It's great to hear from Fearless. I mean, it is a tough role to take. As an expert main tank player to play, especially that Sigma on Circuit Royale. We've seen how punishing that can be. So, props to Fearless for picking up the reins there, and I have faith in him. I think he's an incredibly talented player.
I said this in a joking way, but he's a very smart player, so I don't worry about him playing other heroes as well.
I don't know why. I'm really enjoying fantasizing what happens if there's a shift in meta for the playoffs, and suddenly it's like Sigma all the time, or like Zarya all the time, and Fearless is like, oh no, we're the promised franchise, and Fearless playing Zarya all the playoffs or something.
Yeah, well, anything's possible, man.
He has to make it work.
Yeah.
He's the only tank.
Yeah. That's the risk you take with rosters, and sometimes stuff happens. You can't always prepare for it all.
True. I mean, hey, we had some great matches today. Of course, this one, we had two other matches that happened today. So if you guys don't remember it, here's the scores right now. San Francisco Shock beat LA Valiant 3-2. Boston Uprising getting the win against Defiant 3-1. And of course, the last match was Outlaws getting the win 3 Overwatch against New York Excelsior.
The Valiant, they almost had it there.
They did.
A clean rate of acceleration throughout the day.
Or isn't it 2-1-0? Acceleration? Because it's 2.
Oh, accelerate. We finished the matches faster.
At the time. Okay. I was talking about like match.
How very observant of you, Jake.
You know what that means? That means the jerk is equal to 0. I'll set that for you guys. It's a deep joke. Let's not go into it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's talk about the best of the days because we had some great moments. Who are we starting with first? I think I'm going.